Asian Americans should actually participate in the civil area.
We need to use the diversity to build our unity.
Doesn't matter what color, what ethnic, what profession.
And so running for president as a Chinese American to help further a vision of what we can be in this society.
I'm proud to be here to help Asian American candidates.
When people learn what's going on, they go back to their communities and inform their constituents and friends about what's going on in Washington.
Their influence on policies of the United States as relates to Asians around the world.
Representation matters. AAPI vote matters.
Where every member of our community shows up, turns out, is active, and votes.
We need to get together and play the ball together.
Community of Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, to allow the world to know who we are, how do we stand together, what do we want to accomplish.
Speak with one voice. It's easy to come into agreement, with whatever is written.
And the power of we is very important.
We make small differences into big things.
These are the kind of things we should be running on.
You have to step up to the plate
and raise our voice as one.
We need to connect grassroots groups, organizations.
Come together, stay together, and work together.
Influence others, collaborate.
Join the power of we.
We are coming together to make this program.
We Asians stay united. Efforts will continue.
Working together, regardless of differences,
to unleash the power of we.
Together, the people with Asian heritage.
Power of we definitely need to include our younger generation.
Cook together, stay together as a family, as well as a community.
It's the spirit of teamwork. I believe working as a team, we can achieve more.
Together is better. Together is stronger. Being TV is so honored to be part of we. The power of we.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum. I am so excited to officially kick off the opening ceremony for what will be 9 days of amazing sessions and programs. I am Felicia Chenko. I am the founder of TinyCast Co., as well as the media chair for 2020 NCLF. I want to say that I am so excited to share that we have over 500 people, guests and attendees, speakers, teammates, all of these people joining us today to watch this program and really get kicked off on NCLF. I'm really, really honored here to not only be the media chair, having worked now with the team for a couple of weeks, but of course, being a host of this program. I'll be joined by my co-host, Chelsea Zhang, a little bit later on. But to give you a little bit more about myself, I'm Felicia. I'm the founder of TinyCast Co., which is the digital production arm of my event planning business, Felicia's Events. I've been spending the past couple of months specifically during shelter in place to help organizations, social enterprises, arts organizations, nonprofits, as well as API communities continue to connect with their audiences and communities via digital platforms. And so it was such an honor for me to be joining on as the media chair and broadcasting partner as TinyCast. As I continue on here, I just want to say a few ground rules. A lot of you are joining us via Zoom. If you want to go ahead and drop into the chat where you're calling in from, we are joined by people across the country. I myself am calling in from Oakland, West Oakland specifically, from the Tiny Cast Studios. And so I see here we have some San Jose. I see you, San Jose. It's not my neighbor here. Calling in from Chicago. We have Indiana. Really great to be seeing all these names calling in. Oh, Houston, Texas. Yeehaw. San Mateo. Valerie Yang and Xiaojian Yu from Detroit. I want to say hello and thank you so much for joining us today. So those are some ground rules here. Now that you know where the chat is, I'm glad that many of you do. Beside your chat function, you'll also have the option to do a Q&A. We're very excited for our keynotes today, and we'll actually be able to host a live Q&A with Andrew Young in just a bit here. Really excited to be bringing him as well as our other keynotes. And in addition to Q&A and in the chat, we want to make sure that this event is safe and engaging and respectful. And of course, we want to have a sense of connection here. So I will always suggest that you continue to connect with each other, not only through the Zoom platform, but of course through Whova. Now, since you're here, I'm assuming many of you have already gone through Whova. But in the case you haven't, please feel free to reach out to 2020nclf@gmail.com to get some help. Whova is the place where you can get all the information about the sessions that are to come, the speakers, the more details about other items actually in Whova, including the exhibition hall, including the auction. There's so many things that is going on just besides these webinars. We're making sure that it's a robust, connected, and making sure that we're staying connected during a time of stark departure. I have to say that 2020 is a really important year for the API community. We were hit really hard when COVID-19 started. We saw an uptick of xenophobic and racist remarks, and specifically to our API community. And beyond that, we are also seeing 2020 being a very, very heavy year when it comes to election year. It is an election year, and we say that we're not trying to be the same thoughts or the same voices, the same actions. What is important is to get involved and to continuously uplift the API voice and as individuals and as a whole. And lastly, this is also a census year. So in case you haven't filled out your census, please do so. It is so important when it comes to distributing resources and infrastructure to the communities, and we want to make sure that API community is represented in that. And so without further ado, I want to go ahead and kick off our opening remarks. I'm going to be introducing two very important people to to NCLF. First, I would like to introduce Mr. Sandy Chow, who's the chair of the Civic Leadership USA, which is one of the hosts of NCLF. Mr. Chow has started numerous successful technology companies. He's a longtime venture capitalist and real estate investor, and was a founder of the Acorn Campus, a technology incubator that provides early round seed funding. He has more than 40 years of business experience in the United States, Taiwan, China, and elsewhere in the Pacific Rim. I will also now take an opportunity to introduce Dr. S.K. Low, who is the president of Asian American Unity Coalition and the chair of 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum. Dr. Low is a theoretical physicist with an MBA in strategic management. She worked at Honeywell Incorporated in classified defense research and established 2 successful Kumon franchise outlets in Minneapolis. She was the founding president of the Kumon Franchisee Association and won variable pricing for the franchisees. She was a board member of 80/20 Educational Foundation. She sits on the board of 80/20 PAC, and she is elected as the first president of AAUC. Now I will be bringing Sandy Chow with his opening remarks.
Greetings, I'm Sandy Chow, proud sponsor of this conference. We're so fortunate to have SK and so many groups that all work together to make this a reality. the sponsor of AAUC, the theme is diversity, compassion, empowering, and really striving for the future. Asian Americans are a very diversified group. From Indian Ocean to multiple countries to Southeast Asia, we have the same compassion of building a future for a better tomorrow. We emphasize on education, we emphasize on family value, we emphasize helping our neighbors. Together, we can empower each other. This empowerment of each other will make it so strong. Because by ourselves alone, the force is very limited. But somehow, because of our together, the empowerment is just like kindness. Once you give kindness to people, it becomes so contagious and kindness will come back. And this is what we need to work together to build a better future. A lot of Asian Americans are first generation. We come to this country because this country is really, it's the best ground for building the future of our future generation together. So this is why to get all together, not only we seek for equality, we're also seeking for an equal right to participate. The right to participate and using our resources, we can make this country a better place. And so this place will make the world a better breeding ground for our future generation to come. And I'm so glad that this conference have 27 sessions and more than 130 speakers that will make it so powerful. And let's thrive on this power.
To our honored guests and our keynote speakers, let me welcome you all to our National Civic Leadership Forum this year. I'm S.K. Loh. I'm the president of AAUC and this year's chair. This event is jointly hosted by AAUC and CLUSA. Let me first introduce our organization, AAUC, to you. It is formed in 2019 as a nonprofit, but the idea of forming it is incubated in 2018 in our Alaska conference. It's a growing coalition of 22 API organizations and 15 individual lifetime members. We are founded on the values of diversity, unity, and equality. Our vision is to harness our diversity and equality, our unity to build our collective American dream. Our mission is to connect, unite, and empower our API community. Now let me get back to our forum. The purpose and goal of this forum is to provide an open platform for all API communities and allies to network, collaborate, learn and empower each other, building trust and solidarity so we can achieve our collective American dream. This year, our forum focuses on API unity, the power of we. We extended it to a total of 9 days from September 12th to 20th for the live session. But stay on, the forum still remains open until September 25th for all the recorded sessions if you have missed any. Many might be curious to know what leads to 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum. We are building on the momentum that we generated in 2019 the same forum that we held in Washington, D.C. in September. During that time, we had the most diverse ethnic representation, culminating the co-signing of our joint statement on full civic engagement in a press conference at the Capitol. Due to the pandemic, the original plan of hosting this event in Las Vegas in support of the APIA vote presidential town hall was scrapped in April. We had to reimagine and recreate what our event needs to be like from scratch. Without the physical space and time limitation of attendance, we have decided to move forward and open up the forum with our bottom-up grassroots approach. We started soliciting ideas and proposals from June. So we built the 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum on 6 key elements. First, we set the main theme to be API unity, the power of we. We open up the forum, as we said, to all API organizations and individuals if they can pull together a team that proves viable and be able to deliver that professionally. We set no limits on the race, age, and gender. The only criteria are the topic needs to be current and also focus on future issues related to API communities. And we feel there should be a space for shared environment, not just a string of webinar, to be able to network, to be able to see what the other organizations are doing, and have a community auction event as well. So lastly, it should be professionally produced. And so we have 3 professional teams that we have support from, and 2 of our volunteer teams that have been working off. Now, we organized all of our sessions, like we mentioned before, under our main theme of API unity, the power of we. But the 4 sub-themes that we come up, thanks to our partner in our team, to suggest that we should set it as we are diverse, we are compassionate, and we are empowered, and we are the future, to help us guide us through navigating through this forum. National Civic Leadership Forum is a community event. It is not just a string of webinars like you have been to before. So this is really unique. Coming from the 20-some proposals, we came up with 30-some live sessions as well as recorded sessions. And this includes also multicultural performances, large exhibition halls, and community auctions, and plenty of networking opportunities. So please try to navigate through your Hoover to find out all these gems that is hidden there. So here I would like to introduce our professional as well as our volunteer team. We started with our 2 volunteer teams, then we added 3 professional teams. CLUSA and AAUC actually provides the volunteers and manage the event as well as providing content of our own. Advanced Consulting is providing the event management. Ding Ding TV is providing the production of video and distribution, and we're thankful to Felicia for her guide in the broadcasting. So here I would like to give special thanks to all our committees and our individuals. Our 7-member steering committees, which was formed only about 2 months ago, consist of Anthony Ang, Brandon Forrest, Mamie Stricker, Piyush Agor, Zayan Zhang, Yan Marshall, and myself. We also have a larger planning and execution committee that meets regularly. In addition to the names above, we have I'll just read it by first name. Carissa, Chao Yu, Christine, Jen, Joy, Marsha, Ching, Sandy, Wenyan, and also our large number of young volunteers that is our indispensable team. On our consulting team side, we have Meredith as well as Anthony Lay from Advanced Consulting, and Diana from Ding Ding TV, and Felicia from the broadcasting TinyCast company. So finally, we would like to see what is our wish and hope coming out of this conference. That we would like to see all attendees emerge from this forum to have a deeper understanding of our diverse community and more of collaborative opportunities to network and to build trust. That we are one step closer to build our API unity and more committed civic engagement resulting in greater impact in 2020 and beyond. Last but not the least, the 2020 NCLF will increase the credibility of our community of being very cohesive, increase our membership and trustworthiness of all the API organizations. With that in mind, I would like to turn over the podium to Xiaoyan, our program chair of this event, and Mei Mei, our standing committee chair on program and conferences, to introduce themselves and more details of the program to come in the next 9 days. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to the 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum. My name is Xiaoyan Zhang, and I'm honored to serve as the chair for the program committee for this wonderful event. And this particular event, as you can see, it's very challenging and also very enjoyable. The challenge is how do we actually organize a conference or forum that represent diversity of all API communities, and we know we're diverse. At the same time, how do we also speak with one unified voice? And this is a critical historical moment, and we need to step up and stand up to form a unified voice. So with that challenge, I'm glad to report back to everyone here that we have received over 27 sessions and with over 140 now speakers and representing over 80 different organizations across the country. So here we go. We have a very rich content to offer for this event. Now let's take a quick look at the event here. For the learning session organized by the sub-theme, which SK just mentioned earlier, you can see we have a pretty good balance of sessions representing, we're empowered, we're the future, we're diverse, and we're compassionate. And let's take a closer look. We can actually see, if you go to the Hoover app, you'll see these are just some samples of our session. For example, the session on Indian American, South Asian American, especially Indian American, their political engagement. And we all know Indian American has been doing very well and making major progress in the past few years, especially this year, and in the political engagement. And we also have a Indonesia American and representing Indonesian Muslim community, representing their contribution to the American society. That's under the theme, we're diverse. And of course, we also have a session on we're compassionate. We're talking about Food for Love, a major event organized by United Chinese Americans. And that's made major impact into our society and also community during the COVID-19. And of course, we have, look at the future. We have a different sessions on youth internship, and this particular session I'm just featured here in this slide is talking about mobilize the community with our young generation leadership. You can see how promising we have this different diversity background and different, but it's all young leadership for our next generation. And let's take a look also at the other side. Organize the 27 sections by ethnic group. You can see we have a very good representation of at least 8 different ethnic groups. Plus, if you look at the purple side, which I'm most excited about, is that 14 out of 27 sessions, these are, we're talking about breakout sessions, which are 50%, 52% of overall program content, actually organized and conducted by multi-ethnic groups, which is wonderful. That's the spirit of Asian American Unity Coalition, and we're very, very happy to see that trend. And next one, of course, we have exciting keynote speakers like today. Later, we're going to hear from Andrew Yang to talk about the power of we. And Andrew Yang needs no introduction. We all know what he has done for AAPI community in 2019 and 2020, especially on his trail of the presidential campaign. And we're also very, very honored to have the First Lady from Maryland and to give us a remark. You will hear that. And of course, we also have the Congressman Nielsen from California also will speak to the AAPI community. And the second day, you'll notice we have some other distinguished national known speakers like Ty. He's an accomplished entrepreneur, accomplished executive, also a nationally known speaker, and he's going to address the very, very hot topic today, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're all facing that challenge right now. So his speech should give us some inside thought about this particular issue. And we're also fortunate to have Sean Du, an author who escaped from the killing field of Cambodia many, many years ago and came to the US and doing very well today and realizing his American dream. But of course, he will share his life story, with us, and we can learn a lot from history and from his experiences. For the closing ceremony, and we also have we're honored to have 2 congressmen and also have the president of a League of Women Voters to join us and to especially stress the message, AAPI vote matters. It is a time, it is where we need to now speak and voice and let other the mainstream society know the AAPI community matters. Also, at the closing ceremony, we will have a press conference. This is where we want to have a unified voice. The key message here is we pledge to reach out to our relatives and friends, communities, and organizations to participate in the 2020 census and, of course, national election at all levels of government. The message is representation matters and AAPI vote matters. And for that purpose, we actually have a joint statement that we drafted for this forum. And this particular document is already uploaded into the Hoover library. It's under the document. As you can see on the screen, that's where you can find that. So we encourage everybody to read it. And we are planning to have a signing. We'll make an announcement, we'll read out this statement at the conference, press conference during the closing ceremony. Well, without further ado, enjoy the show. Thank you. Next to Mimi.
Thank you for joining us and happy to see you all. And I'm Mimi, one of the board members of AAUC and also part of the planning committee for 2020 NCLF. I want to take this opportunity to thank the auction team, the exhibition team, and the diversity cultural funded teams for doing such a great job in putting together a wonderful program. I would like to introduce to you about this upcoming event. This Friday is our Diversity Cultural Fun Day. Please mark your calendar and don't forget to sign up to join our wonderful program. The team have put a lot of effort in doing the performances. Can you share the next slide of the program? Yeah. We are blessed to have 4 chefs joining us to showcase their signature dishes. They will share their special recipe. Their cooking demonstration will take place after the performances. So don't forget to sign up to learn the chef's cooking secret. I also want to invite you to explore our auction site. There are many wonderful items of your choice to bid. We are very grateful to our supporters and donors who are so generous in donating their wonderful gift to support AAUC. So please take the time to visit our auction site and place your bid, for this fund will go to support AAUC. As you can see in the screen, it's only a few examples of the action items that we have available, beside many others, such as calligraphy, painting from famous artists, and many more. So that is the time for you to visit and explore. As you visit our auction site, please don't forget to visit our exhibitor booth. We have 37 exhibitors who join us. Visit them and check out what they have to offer, their service to our communities. I thank you for your time today to join us. And just again, a reminder, don't forget to sign up and join our 9 days event filled with a lot of exciting program. Look forward to see you. Till then, stay safe and blessed.
Amazing. Thank you everyone so much for sharing all the different parts that have been going into producing 2020 NCLF. It's been such an honor to work with the team, SK, Xiaoyan, Mei, of course, and the rest of the team here that is not currently on the broadcast, but you're certainly going to meet them throughout the next 9 days. And so again, kind of just doing an overview, make sure that you're in Whova, make sure that you are engaging there accordingly so that you can find more information of the amazing programs that are coming up. If I may do a little bit of self-plug myself, I produced the program on Thursday with 7th West. They are doing a program called Battling Gentrification Through Placekeeping. Particularly excited about that one. And I also will be in conversation with Chef Katie on the Diversity Culture Fun Day that Mimi just said. I'll be in a conversation with her. She was actually my first boss ever. So I'm really excited to be joining back with her 8 years later to do an update of fish sauce and other remedies. So now I'd like to now transition to our keynote speakers and of course bring onto the stage our co-host Chelsea. I'm so excited to be bringing Chelsea in. As we were building out this program, we believe that it is important to have diversity, and that includes our generational diversity as well. So I'm really excited to be bringing Chelsea up here as she kicks us into our keynote portion. Chelsea?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Zhang. I'm an actor in Los Angeles, and as Felicia said, I'll be co-hosting today for today's ceremony. I know we're all really eager to jump into the keynote speakers, but before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that there is a Q&A box on your screen where you can submit questions. I will relay the questions to the speaker during the Q&A session, so don't forget to submit your questions. Incredibly excited to get to introduce our first keynote speaker, Mr. Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang is an entrepreneur, author, philanthropist, and former 2020 presidential candidate. Though initially dubbed a longer than long shot candidate by the New York Times back in 2018, Andrew still became a top-tier contender for the presidency, raising nearly $40 million in grassroots funding. As the first candidate to propose human capitalism and a universal minimum income, Andrew became one of the most exciting stories of the 2020 race and represents a whole new generation of ideas and leadership. In fact, at the end of his run, CNN stated that Yang didn't just make history, he unquestionably put a sizable dent in the future as well. Andrew has made the AAPI community very proud and continues to be an inspiration, especially to us younger generations, reminding us that our voices have power and that participation is key to progress. So as a Gen Z myself, I never got to witness an Asian American running for president until this past year. I'm so excited to see what doors he has opened for our community. Andrew truly serves as a courageous example for us to follow and celebrate. So without further ado, let's welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Andrew Yang.
Thank you, Chelsea. What a great introduction. Hello, everyone. It's tremendous to be here at the National Civic Leadership Forum. Am I the first keynote speaker? That's a lot of responsibility. But I love the spirit that's brought everyone here together. I was reflecting a little bit upon my own experience growing up in this country, which is distinct yet similar, I think, to many of your experiences, or maybe some of your kids' experiences, depending upon what generation you are and how long you've been here. So for me, my parents met in college, in graduate school at UC Berkeley, and they had my brother in the Bay Area. He was named after the Lawrence Observatory. And then I was born in Schenectady, New York. My father worked for GE as a physicist. And in Schenectady, there was like this small Chinese community because of GE. And then we moved down to another part of New York in Westchester County because my father shifted to IBM. And so I grew up in a town that did not have many Asian Americans, frankly. I was like one of 2 or 3 in my grade. And my teachers used to call me by my brother's name because my brother was older. And I guess if you've seen one Chinese American kid, you know, the name sticks. So everyone called me Larry. And growing up in the 80s in New York, there weren't many Asian Americans reflected in our media. Whenever I saw Connie Chung on TV, I sort of celebrated. My parents sent me to Chinese language school every Saturday. So for those of you who are doing that with kids, very, very familiar experience. I think that a lot of us can relate to. And so I spent every Saturday trying to learn Chinese, and then went to high school and college. And in college, really, I think my sense of being Asian American really got broadened very, very quickly because I went to a school that was about 15% Asian American, but it wasn't just Chinese American or Korean American. It was Filipino and Southeast Asian and South Asian and Hmong and on and on. And so you got a sense of how diverse our community is, but also that we had a lot in common. And I feel like that's what today is about in many respects, the National Civic Leadership Forum, that there are people from every community, people from all over the country, but we all share common ideals and goals and aspirations for ourselves and our family. I think that's one of the things that ties our community together is that sense of ambition for a brighter future for our kids. And I was talking to my own son, which I do every day now that, you know, we're all in something of a quasi-quarantine mode. But he asked why he should have children. I don't know if you all have conversations with your kids like this. and I was reflecting on when I thought that I was going to become a dad when I was like my kids' age. My boys are 7 and 5, so they're quite young. And I realized that it was just because my parents expressed such deep devotion and love and ambition for my brother and me that it just never occurred to me not to eventually aspire to have a family of my own. And I realized that when I was talking to my boys, and I think that that's something that our community holds across the country, across languages, across everything, is that there's such like a dedication to the intergenerational future that we're going to end up leaving to our kids. And one thing that I say to folks, because I did something unusual for just about anyone, but particularly for someone of our community, which is I ran for president, and they ask whether I grew up in a household that talked about politics, and I'm honest, I say we did not. That I think I got the same impression that many Asian American kids growing up get, which is that politics may or may not be a natural domain for us, and that my goals as bestowed upon me by my parents were to get good grades and get a good job and try and establish a foothold for myself in this country. And it was really only over my adulthood that I started to get attached to various nonprofits and economic organizations that were trying to do positive things. And that it led me to realize that we're going through a period of fundamental change as a society. And I thought I could do something to help. I thought that I could contribute to our country heading in a better direction. And that's what pushed me to run for president. And I think that's what brought so many of us here together today, is that you realize that this country is not doing that well. You or your parents came to this country to create a brighter future for yourself or your kids or the following generations. And you realize that that future is now not assured, that whether or not our kids experience a better future is going to partially be up to us, that whether we can step up and say, look, we believe that this country has a place for everyone, that this country should still be able to create opportunities for our children in the same way it created for us, and that Asian Americans need to volunteer, vote, run for office, donate to political campaigns, join school boards, and do all of these things that will help move our society in a better direction. That it's not enough for us just to frankly do what I was told to do as a kid, which was just to keep my head down and do well. Like, we need to do well, not just for ourselves, but for people throughout our community, throughout the country that may or may not be Asian American, and just so that we can lead at the highest levels and contribute at the highest levels, that we shouldn't accept any limitations on what kind of impact we can have. Certainly, Chelsea, I'm always blown away by folks who decide to go into Hollywood and entertainment, because I feel like you all are trailblazers in such a real way, where I know that it's not like they're necessarily writing tons and tons of roles for Asian Americans, and that you have to go and audition and put yourself on the line all the time, and that there's a lot of adversity and rejection involved with what the sort of work that you do. I think that that's the spirit of this forum too, that we should have more Asian Americans who are putting themselves out there in politics and entertainment, in business and entrepreneurship, in nonprofits, and not be afraid to get the occasional door slammed in your face or rejection or no, because if you are sure that you have something of value, then you just won't rest until you bring it to the world. So that is why I love this forum so much. I love that it's building bridges across communities. And hopefully we can demonstrate during this cycle in November, 2 short months from now, that Asian Americans are a political force to be reckoned with, and that we are engaging in the civic life of our country in a way that we have never before.
Great, thank you so much. That was a wonderful way to kick off our event, and I really appreciate your words to me. It's definitely something I'm passionate about. We're going to head into the Q&A section of this speech. So I'm going to start out with a couple of ones that we have, but please remember there is a Q&A box that you guys can submit your questions to. So Andrew, we're going to start out. I'm curious if there are certain areas, you kind of mentioned them earlier, or directions you're passionate about seeing the younger generation start to get more involved in now and in the future, like in whether that's politics, arts, as you said, tech, and is there a specific area you're passionate and you see a lot of potential for huge impact?
I think that we're just scratching the surface of the impact Asian Americans can have across the board, really, whether it's in business and technology and entrepreneurship, or arts, culture, politics, and leadership. So we should just do more in every direction. And if someone is looking to have an impact, I actually, and this may not be the message of this forum, but this is what I genuinely feel, is that you need to figure out what's inside of you and like the direction you want to contribute and lead, and just head in that direction. There's no one right direction. Like the thing I'm supposed to say in this forum is politics, run for office, help with campaigns, volunteer, which, I love these things. And I'm super grateful to everyone who did that for me in my campaign. And if you do embrace a local candidate, they will love you for it, because local candidates do not get that many people showing up to volunteer or help on that level. So I heartily recommend that, and definitely vote and fill out your census. Like, those are some things that would be the bare minimum. But beyond that, whatever you're excited about, just know that people need you to step up and contribute, and not be afraid periodically to actually make yourself the front person. I think that culturally our community is more comfortable doing work that's a little bit less forward-facing and visible. And I can relate to this. I mean, I was a very introverted, shy, bookish kid. And I became more externally facing, largely because I realized I would never accomplish some of my goals if I did not. I still consider myself an introvert, which is something of a strange thing to say for someone who ran for national office. So Chelsea, when you ask like what I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about people doing the things that they're passionate about. And if you don't know what that is, that's totally cool, because that process of self-discovery actually in many cases takes a number of years.
That's great. Yeah, I think politics, culture, art, they're all connected. Like, we're all working together. So I think that's really great. Okay, we do have some live questions. So here's a cool one. As a younger Asian American interested in politics, what insights did you gain during your presidential bid that surprised you the most?
I learned a lot. One thing that I did not realize to this extent was that the message and the messenger are equally important. Where if Joe Biden says something and Bernie Sanders says something, same thing, they get received completely differently. Or if Andrew Yang says something and a young black mayor says something, people receive it very, very differently. And there's actually some real power in some of the qualities that Asian Americans have as the messenger that I had underestimated. But I'd also underestimated how much the media wants to present us as pre-built characters in like a narrative that they're developing, and they're less interested in us individually. And that is something that I think Asian Americans need to break through to an extent. And I'll say this again to Chelsea, I mean, because I understand your environment a little bit. Like, I'm sure you get pitched on the same sorts of roles an awful lot. And you're like, oh, maybe I don't really want to audition for like the same kind of role all the time. It's somewhat similar in political narratives where you can say things and then you get cast as like the Asian tech guy, or whatnot. And it's like, oh, okay, like, I guess that's an easier narrative. So that's one of the things I learned. But the other thing I learned that people should really take to heart is that these things are wide open, that the institutions of our politics are not functioning at that high a level. And so if you want to make a difference, you actually can pretty quickly. And I think my campaign to demonstrate that there's a real appetite for different types of approaches and different types of candidates. And so you can energize a lot of people very quickly.
That's amazing. That was really well said. We're going to continue on kind of in the same vein. Someone had asked, Lee Guang had asked, what's your advice on how to deal with racial stereotypes? Also talk about like Black Lives Matters and like all those kind of hot racial topics right now from an Asian perspective.
Well, I'll share my own attitude about Black Lives Matter, which is I think it's something that Asian Americans should embrace and support and get behind in a very big way, because it's the right thing. It's a question of right and wrong and human and inhuman. But also I think it's very, very positive for Asian Americans to show that we care about people that are just being subjugated or punished in a particular way, and that they may not be members of our community, but we still care that they're still just like us, they're Americans, and we need to fight for them too. So that's where I am on Black Lives Matter, and I think that actually has a relationship with how you combat Asian stereotypes. And I'm not sure if people sense this, but I'm going to throw it out there as a potential idea for this forum. But I think that one idea about Asian Americans is that we care about ourselves and the people in our own community more than we care about people outside of our community. And so just by getting out there and volunteering and donating and protesting and fighting for people that are not us, it's actually breaking a stereotypical mold, because I think people think that Asian Americans are somewhat insular, and that if we're paying attention to anyone, we're just paying attention to each other. So if you show that you're not just paying attention to, but you care about and will fight for issues that affect everyone, then that actually can help transform the way Asian Americans are perceived in this country.
I love that. That's great. I do also hope that we can all, love our neighbors outside of our own communities too. So the next couple of questions are kind of in a similar vein. Xiaohua Yang asks, what do you plan to do post the election to continue your passion for Asian Americans and to be deeply involved in shaping the American social fabric? And in general, what are your plans moving forward in your career?
One of the principles that I have, that I think is actually also very much of our community, is to prioritize action over talking. And so I ran on a set of ideas, but to me, the important thing is to act on those ideas. So my organization, Humanity Forward, is distributing economic relief to struggling American families. We're up to a bit more than $8 million. Thanks to the folks who've been donating to us, that we've turned around and given that to people. And that to me was one of the core pillars of my campaign was, look, we need to take care of people. We all have value, whether the marketplace gives us like a big paycheck or not, whether the pandemic has gotten rid of our job or not, whether people are going to our Chinese restaurant or not. Like, we all have value, and we need to just have that value flow more easily and more broadly to different people. So I'm still trying to demonstrate that set of ideas, not just talk about it. I do a fair amount of talking now too, unfortunately, but I'm trying to demonstrate through action and example. I'm also supporting a number of down ballot candidates who are aligned on a human-centered economy, and many of them happen to be Asian American. And so if you go to movehumanityforward.com, the candidates, you can see some of the great candidates that are running around the country who I am blown away by. I'm so impressed by them. David Kim in LA is running for Congress. Donna Imam, who's running in Austin, Texas, has a great chance to win. Marilyn Strickland in Tacoma. So that's another big thing I'm working on. I'm working on trying to get our data rights to be recognized. So there's a California initiative that is fighting for our privacy and data rights at a higher level than any other state country. So that's very exciting. And this is probably very much of this forum, also campaigning for Joe and Kamala whenever I can, because I think that they need to win, and we need to turn the page in our nation's history. And if Joe and Kamala win, I may end up joining the administration and hopefully be able to solve some problems in that way, and hopefully continue to inspire Asian Americans around the country that we can be leaders on a national level. So those are some of the things I'm working on right now. But I will say that a lot hinges upon the outcome of November's election. And I am very optimistic. I believe that Joe is going to be our next president. Kamala's going to be our next vice president. But we need to work for that. Like, our community is not a community that hopes for things to happen. We actually roll up our sleeves, do the work, invest resources, time, energy. If we do that, then I believe that Joe and Kamala are going to win, and we're going to have an Asian American vice president come 2021.
That's so true, yes. It's so important for us to vote and stay participating. Okay, we're going to do a couple more. We have Stephen H.T. Wong, he wants to know if you have any recommendations for how Asian American professionals can start participating in civic life short of running for office.
Stephen, what a great question. There's so many things you can do short of running for office. So many. Especially if you're a young professional, Stephen, everyone would be thrilled to have you. So the basic things are, what do candidates need? What do candidates want? What they need is time, attention, and money. And so if you were to identify a candidate in your community that you liked at any level, could be city council, it could be congressional, it could be mayor, whatever you want. And then you say to that person, I really believe in you. I'm going to help you by spreading the word to people in our community. I'm going to volunteer a bit of time pamphleting, knocking on doors, phone banking. In this context, it would probably be phone banking and text banking. That's more safe. And then I'm going to donate anything. It doesn't need to be huge dollars. If you donate $50, $100 to this candidate and then say, I'm going to ask my friends to do the same. And realistically, when you ask your friends to do the same, so let's get down to brass tacks for a minute. We all get those Facebook messages or Instagram posts or tweets being like, give to this candidate. So think about for a moment, how often do you act on that post when it's in your feed? Probably not that often. I mean, we're human beings and you see a lot of posts. So it's not that often you just dive in and say, I'm going to donate to this person. So if you genuinely want to help that candidate, you do the Facebook post or the Instagram post or whatnot, but then you pick up the phone and you call people and you say, hey, I just donated $100 to this candidate. You remember when I showed up to your charity thing? You remember when I did that thing you wanted me to do? You remember when like just donate $50 to this candidate as a favor to me. That's the way you're going to get people to act. The social media stuff may or may not drive resources. So Stephen, if you do these things, if you volunteer, donate and spread the word, then they will love you. You do not need to run for office. If you do these things, you will be immediately one of the most prized supporters of that candidate. And as someone who's run for office, we know who you are. Like that local candidate will 100% know who you are, Stephen. And that's how change happens.
That was great advice. And I don't know about you guys, but I was inspired by that. So some great actionable steps. We're coming close to our last questions, and we have Anthony Lay says, I am from the Vietnamese community. When we talk about racial equity, my community worries about their own access to support. And he sees this trend in other Asian communities as well. So he wants to know what you think we can do with this environment, and what do you envision is a great path forward?
Thanks for the question, Anthony. Your concerns are the right ones. And one of the issues that we have as a community is that the socioeconomic diversity of our community gets obscured in many ways. And I know this was true in New York City. There's an organization called Apex that I've been a part of that volunteers for underprivileged Asian American youth. And it's shocking how low the level of public resources that were funneled to underprivileged Asian American communities relative to the need. And so we need to do a better job as a community saying, look, there are real needs and real struggles in some of our communities that we're very diverse. I think we are the most socioeconomically diverse community in the country. And we need to let folks know. This is one reason this is a small thing, but filling out the census is really important because that's actually how public resources get allocated. But then we need to volunteer for organizations that are actually helping folks in our community. We have to make the case to donors and philanthropists and governments that the Asian American community has massive needs and healthcare disparities and access to healthcare at lower levels than other people. And this is what this forum's all about, actually, Anthony, is about Asian Americans raising their hands and saying, we are American, we deserve all the rights and privileges that any other American gets, and that includes access to healthcare, access to education, access to aid from nonprofit organizations, because right now we are not getting those things at the same level as we should.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Andrew, for all your patience and time that you've given us. We are coming to a close in our Q&A session, so we have one last question for you, which is, what is the best advice that you have ever received, or just any last thoughts and advice you'd like to leave with our audience members today?
One of the most impactful pieces of advice I got was when I was starting my career. And someone said to me that you want to try and find someone whose job and career you want for yourself, and then support that person, follow that person. And this was such powerful advice for me because at the time I was starting work at a law firm, and I realized that I did not actually want the career or life of anyone who was employed at that firm. So I left to start a business that did not work out, and my parents were very, very concerned about me during this time. But I'd met entrepreneurs whose life I wanted for myself, and I said, look, if someone else could do this, maybe I can do it too. And so what I'd ask the people here to do is try to identify a role model in your community, in your professional life, who you really genuinely admire on a personal and values, as well as a professional success level, and then do what you can to help them accomplish their goals. Because one of the things that does not work is show up and say, hey, you're awesome, can I get your awesomeness? That doesn't really work. But what does work is hey, you're awesome, and anything you do, I will try and help. And then you'll end up developing a relationship with that person. I developed those relationships with people who are ahead of me entrepreneurially, and you end up learning from them. There's a saying about how you are the people that you spend the most time with. And so what you want to do is you want to gain exposure to the folks whose lives represent what you would like to see for yourself aspirationally. I did that. I was around people that broadened my horizons and made me think bigger. And it's one reason why I've had a career that I'm really excited about, as opposed to one where I wonder what would have happened if I'd pushed myself harder.
Wow, thank you so much, Andrew, for all the great advice and just for giving us your time today. That's just such a great way to kick off this whole entire event. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next key speaker, but thank you again. And you might be getting a bunch of emails from people.
Thank you, Chelsea. Have a fantastic time over the forum. You all are great. Let's show this country what we can do. We are just scratching the surface of what Asian Americans can do in this country, and we're going to show them in the next couple of months. We've got a great opportunity. Let's seize it. Let's take full advantage of it.
Amazing. So that's a great way to start off this event. Let's move on to our next keynote speaker, which is Yumi Hogan. She is the First Lady of the state of Maryland, which actually makes her the first Korean American First Lady of any U.S. state. In her own professional life, Mrs. Hogan is an accomplished artist and an adjunct professor at the University Institute at the Maryland Institute College of Arts. In 2016, Mrs. Hogan received the Inspirational Leader Award from the International Leadership Foundation, which recognized her as a trailblazing political and community leader to the Asian Pacific American community. Mrs. Hogan is also the recipient of the 2017 Ellis Island Medal of Honor, which is a prestigious award given by the National Ethnic Coalition of Organizations, which essentially recognizes accomplishments in leadership and inspired service to the state and nation, all while maintaining the traditions of one's ethnic heritage and upholding the values and spirit of America. So join us as we hear some remarks from the First Lady.
Hello everyone, I am Yumi Hogan, the First Lady of Maryland. Our state is the proud home to over 600,000 Asian Pacific Americans who have contributed changing Maryland for the better. Through their diverse heritage and cultures, especially as we continue to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, this community has selflessly served others and helped to secure critical resources. We are diverse, compassionate, empowered, and we are the future. When the Asian Pacific Americans community united and learns from one another, we become stronger together. I have no doubt we will continue to raise and all respect of our community life and for our future generations. We must come together to promote the civic engagement, show the power of we through the unity and the participations. Please practice your right and register to vote. Then you can raise your voice. Thank you and stay safe.
Well, hello, conference attendees. My name is Luis Borunda, and I'm the Maryland Deputy Secretary of State. And it gives me great pleasure to be a part of this conference on behalf of our Governor Larry Hogan. This conference, as you know, is going to include some powerful keynote speakers, a lot of fun, very informative workshops, a full exhibitor hall, and auction. So I want to make sure that you go visit that. We will also have talented performers, renowned chefs, and exercises to enhance our mental and physical and emotional states. So I want to congratulate all of the organizers and participants and sponsors of this year's National Civic Leadership Forum. And of course, I want to recognize Dr. Sandy Cho, the chairman of the Civic Leadership USA, and Dr. S.K. Lowe, chair of the 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum, as well as being president of the Asian American Unity Coalition. So she's one busy lady. We thank you for your leadership and your commitment to the power of we. And now I'd like to read the citation from Governor Hogan. It reads this way. It's from the Governor of the State of Maryland to the Asian American Unity Coalition. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of a grateful tribute to honor your success as host of the 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum, in celebration of the commitment that has been demonstrated to create a community platform for all Asian American Pacific Islander organizations and leaders to interact, to work together, to learn from each other, and to build trust so that the community will be strong with the power of we, making a positive difference in 2020 and beyond. We are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, and it's signed Governor Larry Hogan, Boyd K. Rutherford, the Lieutenant Governor, and John C. Wobensmith, the Secretary of State. And so with that, we'd like to turn it back over to the leaders of the conference. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your wonderful, successful event. Have a great time over the next few days.
Thank you, Mr. Borunda, for promoting our event. On behalf of the Asian American Unity Coalition and also the organizer of this event, we are very humbled by the governor's Hogan citation in recognizing our 2020 National Civic Leadership Forum. Please convey our gratitude to the honor, to our respected and honored Governor Larry Hogan for bestowing upon us this honor. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Luis and SK. We're going to move on to our very last keynote speaker. Today we have the California State Senator Jim Nielsen, who has a message for us. A little bit about Senator Nielsen. He hails from a small farm in the San Joaquin Valley, where he became a very successful farmer and rancher. He received his bachelor's degree in agricultural business from Fresno State, and he would later found a company that utilized rice. Nielsen was elected to the state Senate in January of 2013, where he continues to proudly represent the citizens of Butte, Colusa, Glenn, Placer, Sacramento, Sutter, Tehama, and Yuba counties. Senator Nielsen serves as a vice chair of the Standing Committees on Budget and Fiscal Review, Elections and Constitutional Amendments, and Health. He is also a member of the Senate Standing Committees on Governmental Organization, Governance and Finance, and Veterans Affairs. And he is also serving on the Joint Legislative Budget Committee and the Joint Committee on Rules. Let's watch Senator Nielsen's speech.
I'm Senator Jim Nielsen, Senator, 4th District, Northern California. Many years ago, CCN and myself and a few others formed an organization here in California called the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association. Our goal was empowerment and giving people an opportunity to participate in civic affairs at higher levels, to be able to communicate, to be architects of their destiny. That's what what we've been about. Your organization, of which APAPA is also a part, is simply engaged in empowering Asian Pacific Islanders. But in addition to that, we made a fundamental decision. We include all ethnicities. Asian Pacific Islander American. We're all Americans. We're all trying to help our country, to help each of us be a part of it. This is your state capital if you're from California. It's a very important place. And it is not a strange place. It's a place where we can participate in being architects of our destiny. As a young farmer, I decided that I wanted to have a hand in my future, in the future of my family. So I got involved. It took me all the way here to the state capitol. Well, that doesn't mean everybody has to run for office. It does mean, though, you need to know how to be engaged in civic activities, how you need to be involved in voting, being one who makes a decision about your future, the future of your state, of your nation. And here we're now employing a new technology, if you will. It has a disadvantage. It's less personal. We have to continue to have that interpersonal relationship. But in this particular occasion, as I've pondered, well, is this going to be good enough for us to get our messages out? Well, I think it is, mostly from the standpoint of many more people can be involved in one meeting to communicate with each other. Not as personal, but still significant. If we still maintain our personal interconnections and involvement through our organizations, we can also accumulate a lot more impact by expanding that communication network. That's what we're trying to do here. Our Constitution speaks about we, the people. America is not about I. America is about we. And that's our power, we, the people. We're a unique nation in this regard, and all over the world and throughout history, where the individual, through collective participation in civic affairs, can make a big, big difference. You can. That's what this whole conference is going to be about, giving you ideas and strategies to be able to be more effective involving yourself in civic affairs. I thank you for participating in this kind of new venue. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you will feel empowered by it, and I hope we'll use it a lot to make a difference in your future.
All right, well, that wraps up our speakers for our opening ceremony. We just want to thank our amazing guests for just taking time out of their day to speak with us. It has been a personal pleasure of mine to get to host today, and I've truly been inspired by the conversations that have happened. And one more time, I hope that this has all encouraged everyone that your voice matters and that we need to go out and vote this year. So I'm going to hand it back to Felicia, who will close it up for us.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I just want to go ahead and say thank you again to everyone who joined us for our keynote speeches. Andrew Yang, of course, as well as the Lady of Maryland who sent in a video, the Deputy Secretary of State of Maryland, Barunda, as well as Jim Nielsen, Senator of California. And I guess, again, thank you so much, Chelsea, for co-hosting with me. I can't believe we are here. 2020 NCLF opening ceremony. I'm so excited, again, for everyone who's joined us thus far. In case you missed it on the top of the show, I'm Felicia, the founder of TinyCast Co., as well the media chair of 2020 NCLF. And really what I want to do now, as we are approaching to the end of the program here, is seeing how you can get more from the event. As we have mentioned in the beginning here, Whova is really going to be your resource to find all the information of the different programs that we have, from the different webinars, meetings, keynotes, the Diversity and Cultural Fun Day. We have an opening ceremony at the end of the week. I'll see you there as well. And of course, there's our exhibitor hall, as well as our auction. And this auction is going to be supporting, our organizations here. And you can actually decide which organization you'd like to support. So that is an option there for you. And please do go and visit that. I know Mamie will for sure be excited to see everyone over there. And including in some features of Whova, you can actually customize your agenda and save that in your own calendar. So find that widget's there to be able to do so. You can also meet up with others in the conference, of course, social distance and digitally. So find those networking opportunities there. And of course, going through the exhibition halls and posting on community boards. And we are just kicking off. We are just within our first hour and a half of NCLF. So that means that you can still invite your friends, families, and colleagues to be an attendee. Get that link from Whova, send it to your friends and family. They will be able to register and be able to access nearly 30 programs that we have for the rest of the week here. And now, for those who already have joined us, the resource centers that we do have available, we do have a help desk. It's an info center in the exhibition hall with live chats that will begin 30 minutes before the day starts, and then will continue for 30 minutes after the day ends. So you can make sure to go there to find more information about the program. If you're having issues with connecting, any of those things, we'll have our team help you. And for any help that you'll need in off hours, please do email 2020nclf@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as quickly as possible in that inbox. And lastly, I'm really excited to share that we will be doing some sort of announcements per day to kind of give you a guide of what you can expect for day. Mamie did give a great overview of what the Diversity Cultural Fun Day will be like. But every day from now until the 20th, we have programs, multiple programs, and we'll make sure to inform you of all of those amazing programs throughout the day. And now, before I close, I want to say again, thank you so much to everyone who's joining us, the over 500 attendees that have registered, the over 130 speakers that are going to be contributing to this program, the many, many volunteers, the other teams here that are involved in making this the show that we hope is going to be successful in connecting our community and making sure that in the time of stark departure that we are finding each other and finding ways to uplift each other. Again, I want to say thank you to CLUSA as well as AUUC, who are our hosts for this event, the partners, Advanced Consulting Team, as well as Ding Ding TV, and of course TinyCast Co. as the broadcasting partner. And just after this, I'm actually going to be pulling up a slide with the next sessions that's going to be starting at in 40 minutes here, 12 p.m. Pacific time. And one last shout out to the composer of the music, Alan Chen, a personal friend of mine coming out of Oakland. You'll be enjoying the song of his as we bring up this last slide. So before tuning out, again, want to say thank you. I am Felicia Chenka, the founder of TinyCast Co., as well as the media chair of 2020 NCLF. On behalf of the 2020 NCLF team and all the hosts, partners, and volunteers, we want to say thank you very much for joining us in the opening ceremony. We hope you have a great time for the next couple of days. Feel free to reach out, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the week. Have a great one.